Well, I hope you had a chance to watch that video I pushed out on Thursday. If you didn't receive that flock note, you can go to Facebook. We have it posted there. But if you want to stay in the loop, it'd be best that you just subscribe to that YouTube channel, because I'm not going to send a flock note out every time I do an update. And there are good opportunities to keep people in the know, not only where we're at with progress, but also other things as they may come up. So that was Thursday that I took a little bit of footage out there at the school that we've begun to renovate. On Friday, I was out there for our OAC meeting, owner, architects, and contractors. So we meet every couple of weeks to keep things moving ahead, and even just one day after I'd taken footage out there, they had advanced quite a bit in removing the ceiling and continuing with the demo. So it's good to see. It's good to see progress. Now, last week also, we began interviewing teachers, which is a big step forward. That makes it pretty doggone real. The head of school, our head of school, said, hiring teachers is the most important thing that I do. You get the good teachers, and, well, your school's got a great chance. We have lovely candidates so far I've interviewed. By approaching education from a classical liberal arts perspective, our academy is going to look just a little bit different from a typical public school, and even different from a typical parochial parish school. Because this is the case, our educators' knowledge base and experience will need to correspond to our take on education. And this comes out in many of the questions we ask in interviews, from more technical questions to more general ones, like, how would you describe to parents the difference between a liberal arts approach and what you would typically see at a parish school? One candidate with a strong liberal arts background explained it like this. She said, those of us who have not experienced the classical approach are accustomed to moving from subject to subject in a segmented way. That's how I grew up. It's time for math, open your math book. Now it's time for science, open your science book. Now it's time for religion, let's say a prayer. And oftentimes, the objective for the lesson is stated at the beginning. Here's what we're going to learn. Here's what you really need to know by the time we get through it. Hint, hint. It's going to be on the test, right? And this allows for great focus on a part or a piece of education, but at the expense of fragmentation, of our own knowledge of subjects being disconnected. If you always close your science textbook and then open your religion one, what have science and religion to do with one another? What has faith to do with the rest of your life? This is all the more pronounced in a public school where religion isn't present and apparently relevant only away from all other disciplines, just here in a church. A hallmark of classical liberal arts education is the integration of subjects and the teacherly art of assisting kids to discover the core objectives, which has a way of cultivating awe and wonder at the order found in nature, for example, which speaks of the Creator. This is why history is a primary driver of the curriculum, which situates the child in mankind's long search for knowledge and meaning, for a better life, for truth and beauty and happiness, and ultimately for God. In this way, the child begins to understand how all things are connected, how they take on meaning in this larger story of mankind, which kids want to know. That often comes out in questions like, why? Even in the complaint, why do I have to study this? I'm never going to use it. It helps the child see how things fit into this larger story, and it helps the child to begin to see himself or herself in this epic story of our history, and to discover his or her place within it. as their own gifts are discovered, as their own responsibilities are, and as God's special call for their life becomes clear too. I mean, that sounds all right, doesn't it? It also sounds remarkably similar to the imagery of the body in our second reading. Now, the body isn't a single part, but many. There are lots of components. If a foot should say, because I'm not a hand, I don't belong to the body, I'm not that important. Look at me. I'm not really relevant to this. It does not for this reason belong any less to the body. Or if an ear should say, because I'm not an eye, I don't belong to the body, it does not for this reason belong any less to the body. If the whole body, the whole story, were an eye, where would the hearing be? All of it's needed. If the whole body were hearing, where would the sense of smell be? But as it is, God placed the parts, each one of them, in the body as he intended. There's an order involved that you can see. If they were all one part, where would the body be? Where would the story be? But as it is, there are many parts, yet one body. The eye can't say to the hand, I don't need you, you're not important. You're not important. No. Nor again the head to the feet. I don't need you. They're all important. How do you discover the importance of the other if it's never integrated into the whole? Friends, every epic has its challenges and cries out for a fitting response. Churchill, Reagan, and John Paul II, Martin Luther King Jr., Lincoln, and Harriet Tubman, Francis of Assisi, Benedict of Nursia, and Constantine. Every epic has its challenges and cries out for a fitting response. In our age of fragmentation and loss of purpose and a sense of meaning, how blessed are we to participate in the work God has given us to do here at JP2.